Hello, and welcome to my very first how-to video. This is a new series I've been thinking about for a while. I didn't want to start with these because, you guys didn't know me. I got a list of about 21 ideas at the moment for these videos. Now, these are meant to be about a single subject. For example, this first one is going to be how to pick a class. I feel like this is a great video to have as a standalone where I'm just going to go over each of the classes, tell you what I know about them. Maybe it'll help you pick a class. I've been playing for many, many years. I've played every class on here at least a little bit. But just remember, these will be my own personal opinions. And I can also tell you, Ankama here recently, depending on when you're watching this video, it's late 2019. They just released their second round of class updates, and they're modifying a lot of spells. Some things that I think might be the case, maybe they're different. I'm going to give you a general feel for each of the characters. I'm not going to go over like all their spells or anything. I hope you like it. If you have questions about any of these classes, feel free to leave it in the comments below. I will do my best to answer those. And if I can't answer them, I'll try to find out for you. Figure we'll just go right down the line. Very first one here is I always say IOP. From what I understand, the technical term for this is YOP. I believe that's the proper pronunciation of it, is YOP. But he's kind of the warrior class, all bronze and no brains. Up here at the top, you'll see where Ankama has given them a rating of difficulty, 1, 2, or 3 stars. They also give you a general description about what they're good for. You can click on the find out more, and they kind of break it down with some bars over here. In fact, they even show you their spells down here. These are just the first spells 1 through 100. This doesn't show you the modified versions. Each one of these have an extra option to them that you can see when you start the game. Or I think you can go onto their website. The IOP is a big damage dealer. As you can see, his bar is completely full right here. Each one of the classes can be built in all 4 elements. 4 elements meaning strength, chance, intelligence, or agility. Strength is a very popular build, especially for when you're first leveling your IOP. That's their biggest damage dealing. But it's not uncommon for later levels to go hybrid with strength and intelligence. It's actually a really good combination. I love the agility builds. I think they're a lot of fun as well. And then chance, I haven't tried it, but from what I understand, chance is not the best in PVM, but it's becoming kind of popular in PvP. The way the chance build works on this is when you do attacks, it places shields on your character. So the idea is that you get close to the enemy and you're doing all this damage. At the same time, you're stacking shields on yourself so that then you can then take some hits or take some damage following that. I'm not very good with the PvP side of things, so I'm going to try to avoid giving much opinions on that. I am not an expert in all of these, but I'm just trying to give you some advice on maybe how to go about picking a class. So if you're looking for a very straightforward class, something that does a lot of damage and it's really easy to kind of learn the game, if you're new to the game, the IOP is a great option to go. And I highly recommend you go strength for your first build. Intelligence is really good also, but strength is probably the best. Next up, we got the Craw, which is the archer class. You can watch in the video down here, you'll see that they can do a lot of damage from far away. It used to be intelligence was the way you would always go with these, but they've changed up the Craws a lot. You can kind of go in any of the elements for a Craw. Agility is a very popular one. They're real good at trying to keep things away, and they can attack things from a distance, and they've got spells that they can hit up close. The strength and the chance spells are really powerful, but the problem is with those is it's harder to do close attacks. See, that says 5 to 8, but some of their more powerful ones 6 to 10. This one's 6 to 8. So the enemy has to be a ways from you before you can use these spells, but they hit really hard. Agility ones, you got 1 to 5, 1 to 8, 1 to 4. So, if an enemy gets right on top of you, you can still attack. Plus, agility gives you the chance to just walk away because you don't get locked as easily. I've even known people that once they get to high level, they like to go Omni in all 4 elements with the Craw just because they like being able to use all their range of spells. They've got a lot of abilities of like sealing range. So it's a good one. Think muscle, but without getting close to the fight. That's what they're really good for. They're also pretty good at doing field manipulation. Not amazing, not the best. The positioner is what they call it, but they can move people around, and the nice thing is they can do it from a distance. The Sacrier right now in the Dofus community is a pretty sore subject. Ankama is going through their character revamp. They tried something really new with the Sacriers, and you either love it or you hate it. The idea behind the Sacrier is they're really good positioners. They deal pretty decent damage, but they're supposed to be kind of a tanky class, meaning that their goal is to get up there and be able to take a lot of hits for the team. In a Sacrier, the more damage he takes, the stronger he gets. Some of your spells, you even damage yourself, but in damaging yourself, you make yourself stronger. I've seen people do incredible damage still with the new setups. If you grab this guy and you start using him, just know that here fairly soon, I think there's more changes that's supposed to come to this class, so it may be totally different in just the next month or two. And they're also really good positioners. Eniripsa, also level 1 difficulty, very easy to use, and this is basically the #1 healer in the class. Now, I'm not saying that some of the other healing classes can't heal as strong as this guy, but they're the class that's best built for the role of healing. And as you can see, their bar here is very full. Now, they got a few different ways they can do it. The most common is the intelligence build, because remember, intelligence works with healing. The more intelligence you have, the higher your heals can do. And the nice thing is that they've changed these spells to where, like this one, it heals if you use it on an ally, but then it does damage if you use it on an enemy. They've also got this summon right here. It's a little bunny. You cast it out, and it runs around and does healing for you as well. So the intelligence build is really popular for a PVM team. But if you are playing solo, or if you do a lot of PvP, I believe Chance is the more popular build. I believe the way Chance works is when you attack an enemy, any allies that are around that enemy will get healed by the amount of damage that you do. See, these ones you can cast them straight on an ally, and it'll heal them. These ones, you have to attack an enemy, and your allies get healed if they're near that enemy. I actually tried to build a Chance Eniripsa one time to see if I could, do very well. But what I found was the problem was I had to stick my team in danger to try to heal them. I don't know if maybe at later levels that's not as much of an issue, but the way the agility ones work, when you inflict damage on enemies, it works like the Chance one, but now the people around you get healed. I haven't tried that. Maybe some people can leave some feedback on their experiences with these different ones. You're looking for an easy healer, someone that's going to get your team really far, do really good, go intelligence. If you want something a little more creative, go with Chance or agility. Osamodas. These are the summoning class. Now there's a few different summoning classes in here that we'll get to, but this is the one that's supposed to most specialize in summoning. They went through a huge revision here recently. It used to be that you would just cast out different summons. AI would choose who to attack. You could try to put it close to something that you wanted it to attack, but in the end the AI would decide, and it would get kind of frustrating sometimes. You wouldn't understand why it chose to go attack a certain enemy over another one. But now it's set up where you actually control all the summons. Depending on what spells you are casting, depends on what summons you can throw out. If you're intelligence, you're going to summon things that are going to be intelligence based. If you're using chance spells, you're going to summon enemies that are going to be chance based, and agility and strength, so on and so forth. The idea behind the Osamoda is you use summons. You're kind of like an army of one. Unfortunately, these have changed so much here recently, and I haven't used them much since the big overhaul. But just know that this is primarily a summoning class. The idea is your summons are supposed to do most of the work for you. They're the only class in the game that can revive a dead ally. Sram is the assassin class. You can play them pretty straightforward with a 1 where you just go out there and you attack. But if you're going to use them for what they're built for, which is like being sneaky and attacking without being found, I kind of feel like it moves more towards a 2 or a 3. And they are another high damage dealing class. So they use a lot of what's called traps. Basically, you can plant these on the ground. See, they just planted a trap, and then that person just pushed them into it. When you plant traps on the ground, the enemies can't see where they're at. And you're basically booby trapping the room, you could say. And then you can run around. There's certain attacks you can use without being seen, because your character can actually turn invisible. And that's kind of the goal. You want to try to do as much damage and set the room up with enough traps to where you're going to take someone out really quick and not be seen. They also have attacks that do poison and do damage over time. I believe strength and agility are kind of the two popular builds here. Now the agility one, the neat thing about that, the Sram gets this thing called a double. And it's a summon that you cast, and it has the exact same stats as your character. It has same dodge, same lock, same HP, but the only thing it does is walks forward. It doesn't attack, it doesn't do anything. It'll just walk forward and it'll stand next to something. You can use it to trigger traps. You can use it to stop lock. If you're an agility build, if you've got, 100 lock, well, your double has 100 locks. So yeah, they dish out a lot of damage, but they're the assassin class. They try to stay hidden. They're also really good positioners. They can move people around quite a bit as well. Ouginak. This is the Ouginak. And out of all the classes, this is the one I have the least amount of experience with. They look pretty cool, and they're a high damage dealing class. They have a little more strategy to them than an IOP. One is they have this ability to cast prey on an enemy, and then you have certain abilities you can do to that specific enemy. It's become your prey. I believe there's a spell where you can teleport right next to whichever enemy you have marked as prey. Another thing is, if an enemy is marked as prey, any attacks that's done to that enemy heals the person that's attacking. So I don't think you could necessarily make your Ouginak the healer of the group. They do have some healing abilities, but they also have this thing called the Yapper, which is a summon. I believe there's a healing Yapper and a damage Yapper. But yeah, this is another high damage dealing class. I know strength is common. I'm not entirely sure. I want to say that agility is one that I hear used a lot. I could be off. Like I said, I've got extremely little experience with this class. If there's any Ouginak players watching this video, please update the comment section with your recommendations on this class. That would be much appreciated. Enutrof. Oh, the Enutrof has a special place in my heart. So the Enutrof was the second class that I ever built. Pretty popular class for collecting resources because Chance is a very popular build for the Enutrof. Their spells have a long range on them, and they have modifiable. This one's 0 to 8. If you stack 6 range on that, that's 0 to 14. There's so many maps that you'll get to where the Enutrof and the Craw are the only two that can reach. And if you got a Craw and an Enutrof in the same fight, and the Craw uses its range buff, my team that I'm using right now, I'm building an agility one for the first time, and I am very impressed with the amount of damage the agility Enutrof is dishing out. Now the Enutrof though is very much a support role type class. No matter what build you do, you're not going to dish out the damage of an IOP. You're not going to dish out the damage of a Sram or a Craw. They dish out a lot of damage, especially in higher levels, and you focus your efforts onto a particular element. They can do a lot of damage, but they're kind of like where they're good at a lot of stuff, but they're a master of none. They can help in all kinds of situations. They can steal range. They can steal MP. They can give range. They can give MP. They can help heal. They can help buff. They can do damage. They can do so much stuff, but they don't necessarily specialize in any one thing. If there was one thing that they do kind of specialize in, it's going to be stealing move points. This is a 1 AP spell that's modifiable, and it steals MP. So there's a lot of people that play PVM that will stack trophies and equipment on their Enutrof that increases their ability to steal MP. This class is really good at stopping enemies. And then if you can use this, which steals range, so you steal their MP, you steal their range, you can lock an enemy from a distance pretty good. So an Enutrof is a great support role type class. They got a lot to offer. Typically when you build a team, you kind of want to have at least one damage dealer, one healer, one positioner, and then one support role. That's kind of what you want to go for. You don't have to, but that's a pretty solid team. And this is a great option for filling that support role. Ecaflip, they do have some luck and some chance to them, but I feel like a lot of their spells now also do like a give and take. I think that's a good way to put it. A give and take. Like, it'll give you a little bit of something this round, but next round it's going to take something. Or maybe it's going to take a little something this round, but it's going to give you something next round. They do incredible damage. They're a class that's really good about being able to get around the map, whether that's jumping to do an attack or jumping away from an enemy and then being able to run. They've got some spells that can attack through objects just because of the range that they have. They've got some healing spells. Yeah, they're pretty big damage dealing class. I've heard some people say that they feel like this class is overpowered right now. My brother, when he plays this game, this is a class that he almost always builds. So yeah, this is a fun class. A little more complex than a straight damage dealer like an IOP or a Craw. So if you want something that's able to dish out some really good damage, but might have a little more twists and turns to it, a little more of a learning curve, this is a great option for you. The Foggernaut is a blast. This is a class that I've just recently started using. They're based upon the idea of using these turrets. The Harpooner's your big damage one, the Lifesaver's your healer one, and then the attack turret's kind of a neutral. I say neutral because it can do damage, but it's also used just for kind of positioning and moving people around. They do great damage. The strength does really good damage, and it has a lot of range to it. Now, the intelligence does really good damage also, but their range isn't as big. But their abilities allow them to heal themselves, and it also allows them to be a healer, play the healing role on a team. But, you know, it's not like an Eni. I can't just go around casting spells directly all the time. He has one that I can cast directly on people. But I gotta plan ahead a little bit more with the Foggernaut, which makes it fun. That's why it's a level 2, whereas the Eni's a level 1. If you want a class that just does straight damage, the strength build is definitely the way to go. Their strength attacks do really good. And the Harpooner, the way the Harpooner works is it's going to attack in whatever element is your highest. So if you pump all your points into strength, it's going to attack strength. If you pump all your points into chance, it's going to attack as chance. They do a lot of stuff diagonally. I feel like this class more than any other has a lot of diagonal type spells and moves. As you get used to looking for it, you start to see it a lot more. So yeah, they're a fun class, and if you watch my quest at 200, you'll get to see this class grow and evolve. The Feca. The Feca is supposed to be the main tank class, a more defensive version of a Sacrier. A Sacrier is all about getting in the face and doing the damage and trying to get there in the heat of everything. The Feca is more of a, they increase your resistances and they reduce the damage that you take. They also use a lot of glyphs, which are these big things you're seeing on the ground. They have some that do damage. They have some that just steal MP. It's a very fun class, but they're not a very fast class, if that makes sense. If you build a Feca, you're taking more of a defensive role as you do your attacks, not necessarily an aggressive role. Not to say they can't attack or they can't be aggressive. Your best strategy is to take more of a defensive role. Now, I haven't played a Feca a lot, especially here lately. I know Chance is supposed to be a pretty good build for range, I believe. Strength is good for damage, but I think it's a closer ranged build. But I know Intelligence used to be the way to go. But I don't know if that's still the case today. I know this Burning Glyph is a real popular one. I think that's that one where you're seeing with the big red square on the ground. You place this down, and it's kind of like the Rogue's Bomb Wall. The enemies start their turn or stop their turn on that wall, they take damage from it. Alright, I believe the Huppermage is the latest class that has been added. Now, it's been here for a little while now, but they are very unique. The Huppermage is a multi-element class. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to build them with 2 elements in mind. That's probably the way to do it. But the way it works is, if you use a strength attack on somebody, well, in fact, if you look at this one spell, if you use this strength attack on somebody, they get put in what's called the Earth state. Now, with the Earth state, if you then attack with an air spell, doesn't matter which one, if you just hit that enemy with an air spell, you're going to steal 3 range. If you hit it with a water spell, you're going to steal 2 MP. If you hit it with a fire spell, they're going to take an extra 20% damage for 1 turn. So you could keep hitting it with Earth, but the idea is that you hit it with an Earth, and then you would hit it with another element if you wanted that effect to take place. If you wanted one that does a lot of damage, it looks like you might want to go with Earth Fire. Your Earth is going to set them up to take an extra 20% damage if they take by fire, but that means you got to cast a fire spell on them. So you want to hit them with this, but you don't want your fire spells to be puny. You want to know that when you hit with a fire spell, it's also going to do a lot of damage. So that's where I mean by they're multi-elemental. You really got to keep track of which state you put them in, whether it be chance, intelligence, strength, or agility. And then you need to remember, okay, if I hit them with another element, what's it going to do? But what I've been told is once you kind of get the hang of knowing, okay, I've used earth, I'm going to hit them with water, that's going to take MP. Okay, I've got fire, I'm going to hit them with air because that's going to take range. Whatever it's going to be, I guess you kind of learn what those are, and it becomes like second nature to you. But I do feel like the learning curve here is pretty high. All right, the Masqeraider. These guys have 3 different masks that they put on. They have a cowardly state, a intrepid state, which is kind of like their neutral, and then they have the psychopath state. This is your damage, this is your ranged attacks, this is your mid-ranged attacks. So their big thing is they can switch between 3 different roles. That's kind of the idea. If you put this on the cowardly state, you're going to be attacking from a distance. Your attacks are going to be things that help you get away. Your attacks are going to be things that try to keep things away from you. But if you put on the psychopath one, you're going to be up in the face of the enemies. You're bashing them. You're trying to do as much damage as you can. And you're going nuts on them, is the idea behind it. They can dish out some really good damage. See, they don't have any healing on the bar, but they have a big protector. And that's because they have the ability to cast shields on people. Now, this isn't like the Feca where it's a resistance. This is an actual shield buff that gets put on your character. So it goes on top of your HP. Your character might have health of 800, and then he can stack a shield of 200 on top of you. So in a way, it's like you've got 1,000 HP. But yeah, this is a really fun build, or a really fun class. Strength is very popular. Agility is very popular if you're just trying to do straight damage. If you go with the chance, it's more of a positioner build, and they're really heavy for pushback. But you stack some pushback trophies on yourself, you stack a bunch of equipment on you that gives pushback damage, and then you go chance, you can dish out some crazy damage on people. You just get them up against a wall or get them up against a summon or another enemy, and you can just smash into them. All right, the Pandawa. I would say the Pandawa is probably the most easy to use positioner in the game. The Pandawa can be an extremely good damage dealer, but they're also really good at supporting. They got good range. They don't get stopped because they can just pick people up and throw them. That's how they can position people. This is a great class for doing good damage, and if you're going to build a 4-man PVM team, I highly recommend you make one of them Panda. And you can build them in any element. Strength is very popular, and so is Chance. Those are probably the 2 most popular. Yeah, so all the elements are really good here. Great character. It says level 2, but honestly, I feel like a Pandawa doesn't take very long before it starts to feel like a level 1. The Eliotrope. I like the Eliotrope. Eliotrope is built on the idea of using portals. So as you'll see here, they can have up to 4 portals on the ground at a time. Now, when you attack an enemy, the distance between your attack going into the portal is exactly where your attack is going to come out the other side of the portal. If you've got a spell that can only attack one space in front of you, using portals, you literally could hit something on the other side of the map if it's standing right in front of the portal on the other side. The more portals you have on the ground, the more damage that you do. The more your portals are spread out, the more damage it does as well. Intelligence is probably the most straightforward, and it's definitely a popular one. I know agility is really good too, especially since you want to be able to use your portals, and agility allows you to be able to just kind of walk around a lot easier without getting stopped. So that's a pretty popular build for PVM. Chance and strength are also pretty decent. These guys are a lot of fun. It's a level 3, and that's mainly because you got to learn how to use these portals. All right, the Sadida. The Sadida is also a summoning class. I know I said the Enutrof is really good at stealing MP. The Sadida is actually, like, you could say the king of MP steals. They have summons that steal MP from a distance. They have spells that steal MP. These guys do a lot of distance attacks, but they also use these sacrificial dolls and these different types of dolls and summons to do attacks on their behalf. The idea is the fact that they're kind of a earth species, I guess. And so they use trees to do different things, and you can change the flow of a map. If you try to block a path, you can do it real good with a Sadida. Really neat class. Unfortunately, I'm not extremely versed in this one, so I can't give you a lot of feedback on it. But I know that they do good damage. They're really good at stealing MP, and they definitely can do some healing as well. They've got some good healing rolls they can do. All right, the Rogue. I love this class. I think it's fun. It's amazing trying to think up ways to put out a wall and to figure out how to get those enemies on those walls. But the idea with the Rogue is that you're building bomb walls. You can have 3 bombs out at any given time. If you use 2 bombs of the same element in a straight line from each other, like this one right here, the spaces in between those 2 walls become a bomb wall. And it's kind of like a glyph, just like that Feca. So any enemies that stand on that spot at the beginning of their turn and at the end of their turn, if they're still on that spot, they're going to take damage from it. Now, the longer your bombs stay out there, the bigger they get and the more damage that they do. The intelligence build is the most popular for PVM. Agility bombs are probably the next popular because they steal MP. You steal MP, and the whole goal is to get your enemies to stay on the bomb wall. Well, if your bomb wall is stealing MP, it increases your chance of being able to keep them on that wall. Chance 1 steal AP, but yeah, this class is a lot of fun. Hopefully I become a better example of how this class can be used as I progress through 200. Last one on the list is the Xelor. I believe this is probably the most intimidating class. These guys are great at positioning, whether it's they teleport to another part of the map or they flip everything around a dial. They have the ability to roll people back. In fact, they have a spell, and you can cast this, and it puts every enemy and every ally back on their original starting point. I know a lot of people go agility because of this synchro thing. The strength I like because they're just straight damage dealing. So that's the last one on the list. I hope this was informative, and I plan to do a follow-up, and it's going to be how to pick a team. Although there's no set rule. You could make a team of 4 craws if you wanted to, but it wouldn't necessarily be a good idea. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But there's definitely some good strategies to keep in place. I briefly touched on it at one point in the video here. I want to make a video on just kind of giving ideas on good ways to build a 4-man team. So that'll be a video coming up at some point. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. If you got any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'll try to get back with you. If anyone has some feedback to leave as well on some of these classes, again, please leave the comments below. If you don't mind, hit that like button, and you can hit the subscribe button if you want to know exactly when my videos go up. I'm shooting for every 2 to 3 days, and I guess that's about it. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.